Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Smash that subscribe button. It's a huge help to the channel. Really gets the word out. Helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
You can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, check us out on Reddit. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Let's get into it. We got NFL talk. We got CFL talk. We got some Winnipeg Jets talk. But let's start with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have a huge matchup this week against the BC Lions, playing a late evening game at 9 o'clock Winnipeg time at BC Place. Battle for first place. Who do you think the Bombers need to have a big game?
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting game. Looking forward to it. Janarian Grant back, so that's huge for the Bombers. Demario Houston out, so that kind of hurts them a little bit. For me, I think it's going to start with Zach Claros. He's going to need to have and it includes the old line as well with him, who need to protect him, but he needs to have a clean game. Any interceptions in this game, BC will make you pay. They got the offense to crush you if they can. They got obviously Vernon Adams has been very good. They got a quartet of receivers there that are very good as well and challenge the Bomber receivers. So Zach Claros for me is the first guy that needs to have a good game for the Bombers to have a chance.
Yeah, when BC's opponent scores more than 30 points, they are 1-4. The Bombers are slightly better, being 2-3. So this is probably going to be a race to 30.
Mm-hmm.
The Bombers need to slow this down. So, of course, I'm going to say Brady Oliveira. He needs to have a big game, but I think Kenny Lawler has to have a big game. When they beat their ass 50-14, they used the long ball and they pasted the Lions with it, and they have to do that. And to get the long ball, you need the running game going. You need to play action. And you know I'm going to say this. They have to play the heavy set with the tight end. They played that so much against BC when they whooped their ass 50-14, and they have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. They have to get after them. And like you said, in that game, that second game, they also got after Vernon Adams. So that D and the D line need to hassle him a little bit and throw these guys off because, man, they can match. They can go toe to toe. Like you say, first to 30. This game is going to be, I can see both of them had offense on one side and defense on the other. I could see this one going all offense on both sides and kind of being a back-to-back affair. In BC plays under the lights. Hey, man, they're opening the upper deck too, right? Selling tickets. So it's going to be a full crowd and it's going to be exciting.
Good job for BC. I think the second game actually was Dane Evans who was playing quarterback.
Yeah,
that they
for
got
a bit,
the pressure
right?
on because Adams got hurt.
In the game, though, right?
Not sure. I think he was hurt going into the game because they complained that they didn't have their QB and they were playing on a short week.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I got that wrong. I usually remember stuff wrong anyways.
That is a long time ago.
On the defensive side, I think Deatrick Nichols has to have a huge game. Also, Evan Holm, and they are 2-3 in past knockdowns with 9 and 10, right behind Willie Jefferson with 11. That's crazy. But they got to stop Keon Hatcher. I think he's Adams' favorite target this year. And I think Nichols will be one-on-one with him a lot. So they need Nichols to have a huge game because they're going to air it out in BC.
Yeah, and Winston Rose is going to the outside, right? And Jamal Parker going inside with Demario Houston out. So Winston Rose struggled a little bit at that position last year at times. So they're probably going to attack that position and see what they can do. And that kind of leads me to Richie Hall. Oh, what's up?
Oh, they should not play Rose on the inside. That's ridiculous. He's a corner.
Rose, isn't he going on the outside? He's been playing on the inside with Houston and Home on the outside, wasn't he?
I think Rose is playing on the outside with Houston. I think because Parker's taking Houston on the outside.
Okay, so maybe they're switching them around then. They are switching those two around, Jamal Parker.
Oh, man. Parker should be on the outside and Rose should be in the outside.
Let me double check
because,
now that we're saying this.
Because Nichols and Holm have been playing great halfback the whole year. So there's no way they should be changing that. I'd be pissed if they're going to do that. On the Lions,
unless Rose is switching to the other side and Parker's taking his side. What did I end up reading?
Maybe
I'm confused.
Maybe
he's
that's
probably it,
side.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry that I made a mistake
okay.
on that one.
Who needs to have a big game on the Lions?
Vernon Adams and the Lions receivers, man. I mean, we've seen the defense for BC. It hasn't been as great lately. Since that pasting by the Bombers, they've kind of come back down to earth. So I think that offense is going to need to score a lot in this game for them to give them a chance. The run game is non-existent basically for BC as well. So Vernon Adams needs to hook up. And if he gets the time, him and his receivers could have a blast.
Yeah, his receivers. You mentioned receivers. I mentioned Keon Hatcher, who I think the Bombers will really zone in on. So that might leave Alex Hollins to have a huge game. And especially if he's matched up with Jamal Parker. Oh, boy. Hellman's might have a huge game. And on defense, they have that great Canadian linebacker, Ben Fladek. He's having a huge year. I think he's leading the team in tackles. He has 5 sacks this year. He has a motor, and he can really cover the middle of the field. So he might be a pain in the ass for Brady Oliveira.
Yeah, and this D needs to kind of step up from that pasting they got back. When the Bombers put up the 50 burger on them, they want to prove that hey, they're still a decent or good enough defense to play in this league. But I mean, they gave up 400 to Dolgala. I know a lot of that was in garbage time, and they had already had a pretty big lead in that game. But well, they'll have to step it up, and like you say, those guys will need to do it and shut this run game down of the Bombers to have a chance. So it's going to be a fun battle.
It's going to be crazy. I'm so nervous about that one. You'll see how nervous I am when we get to quick and dirty predictions. Anyone else on the Lions you think that need to have a big game for them to have a chance, or to have a chance for them to win?
I mean, you speak about the Vernon Adams, the receivers, and that maybe the run game in this one would help them out a lot and not make them one dimensional as well. I know that's all good with Vernon Adams and those receivers, but if you can get the run game going, wow! If Mizell can finally pick up where he started the season at,
yeah,
plus you got the D line, Matthew Batts, again, him and Jefferson, torrid starts this season, and then they both kind of tapered off in the stats department, so he could definitely wreck this game as well.
Batts is always a threat. He's past couple of weeks, I think he's been a little more visible. He's up to 15 sacks now. I think a couple of weeks ago we are like, he's stuck at 12 forever.
Yeah.
Well, now he's at 15, so he's back on track. Are there any matchups that you're really looking forward to watching?
Yeah, again, back to Vernon Adams and the Bomber D line. I want to see that matchup and how it plays out because the two Jeffs have got to have a wicked game. Willie Jefferson is probably champing at the bit to get back in that stat sheet. So if they give Vernon Adams too much time, he's going to chew that D apart, especially the DBs. And then the DBs would need to step up as well at that point, right? So hopefully they can get some pressure on him, rattle him a little bit, throw him off his game to stymie that BC offense a little bit.
Yeah, the DBs and what Richie Hall does with the coverage against those Lions receivers, they are deadly and they have a lot of speed. So I'm nervous about that. And I always love the battle in the trenches, the BC D line against a Bomber O line. And like I'll say it 100 times, they have to play heavy set to be dominant in this game. And they have to run the ball with Dembski and with anyone else who could touch the ball. Because the more they have people touching the ball, the more confused BC is. And they're a speed dependent defense. So if they're playing on their heels, that's a lot better for the Bombers.
Yeah, this has kind of been a tale of O-line versus D-line in both these games, right?
Oh, for sure.
BC D-line dominated the first one, then the Bombers O-line dominated, and the Bombers D-line was better than the BC O-line. So yeah, it's coming down to this third matchup, and it's going to be a tough one on either side. And we always say it, whoever wins that battle is probably winning this game, right? It makes things a lot easier on that offense or defense if those lines are getting at the quarterbacks and stuff like that. So
Lions got 7 sacks in that 30-6 game. They got 0 when the Bombers beat them 50-14. So they got to keep that 0 going, and they got to give Brady Oliveira some holes to run in.
That's the thing. Pound Oliveira early in this game, wear down that D line a little bit, and put them back on their heels a little bit, and then maybe attack through the air. But Buck Pierce, we talked about, you mentioned Richie Hall too. Buck Pierce and Richie Hall both have to call a clean, good game for these players to be able to perform at their best.
Yeah, be creative. Don't save it for the playoffs. Well, this
is
all on
the line now, right? I mean, whoever wins this game, chances are they're winning out, or you're obviously in the driver's seat for that first place, and you can lose the game still and still be okay. So whoever wins this game is most likely 95% sure of hosting that West Final, right? Yeah. So it's a big match, and the Bombers have kind of not played great over the last few weeks. So this is a big test for them.
The home field advantage is bigger in Winnipeg than it is for BC.
Big time. Yeah. If BC has to come here in November with no running game, Bombers stand a strong chance of making a Grey Cup. If it's in BC place, that's a totally different game for sure.
Yeah, they got veterans. They're okay. And it's too cavernous to fill with noise. Yeah. They have to bring out 40,000 people there to even match the noise at IG Field.
Yeah.
Bomber fans, put your comments in the comment section below. Let's move on to critical questions each CFL team is facing. You got the West. You want to start?
Yeah, let's start at Winnipeg. And my question is, has the pass rush, the two Japs mainly, lost a step? you know what? It's kind of looked like that in the last little bit. They haven't looked like their themselves from earlier in the season. Even Jake Thomas and Ricky Walker. Like you say, Jake Thomas was on a torrid pace with his sacks and has kind of tapered off as well. So have they lost a step? I don't think so, but they really need to step up in this game and show that they can still bring it.
Yeah, I think they're missing a lot of help on that inside. I still believe in them. I don't think they've lost that step. Toronto, man, what is starting Chad Kelly against Edmonton now? Like, what was he doing? Was he playing mind games at IG Field, or was he being overcautious with a quarterback that he doesn't want to break going into the playoffs? And not break just physically, but mentally. Like, imagine if he got pasted in Winnipeg and he were to see Winnipeg in the Grey Cup. And we all know that Chad Kelly has a history of being emotionally high and low. So, you know what? Maybe Dinwiddie was very smart for holding him out in this crazy high pressure game that meant nothing to Toronto.
Yeah, I totally agree there. It meant nothing to them. They're back at home where they're 7-0. Maybe, to have the fans come in there, they get to see Kelly play, but you're risking him anyways. You took him out for one game. You're going to put him back in for this. If he ends up getting hurt, again, the second guessing will happen anyways. So
Yeah.
hopefully everything goes fine, and that makes it tougher for Edmonton, obviously.
They can't sit him for the rest of the season.
No, it's too
Like,
long. You have to play him at least
ice.
Yeah, a quarter or half here and there, right? So
Yep, absolutely.
And I think they probably maybe they'll end up doing it more at home than they do on the road. Right.
Totally.
So,
yeah, I agree.
BC, let's go with them next. Can Vernon Adams continue his torrid pace against the Bombers? He's moved to number 1 in yards. Now he's big in this conversation for the Western MOP, overtaking Collaros possibly. So this is a big test. If EO plays Collaros, he has definitely taken over that race, and vice versa. If Collaros can do it, then he's back in the lead in that one. But it's going to be an interesting race down to the wire.
Yeah, I'm going to say Brady Oliveira right now is in the lead for that one. He's just having a monster season. And he's not doing anything to hurt the Bombers.
I feel like it's always quarterbacks, right?
I know.
So they always take that edge no matter how good a running back does. So,
jeez, not since the days of Mike Pringle where we like, oh, there's a chance.
Dominant.
No, I know. 2000? Goodness. Let's go to Ham. I remember used to sitting in the student section. Do you think used to yell at this guy? Steroids, steroids. Like for a long time. That student section was ruthless. It's right there.
It was
on
a good time in that student section.
There it is. Right there. I'm pointing at student section steroids. They used to yell. Hamilton, are you putting Bo Levi Mitchell in if he's healthy? I know I'm not. With that kid playing good, that's gotten you he got you to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Under the leadership of Scott Milanovich. Nah. Sorry, Bo Levi, you're a great backup right now.
Yeah, I'd probably even stick with Powell over Bo Levi because he's played well.
Yes.
I mean, Schultz came in and won the last game, so you got two better options, I think.
That's true. That's right.
Than Bo Levi, right? So, what was he at? 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions when he got hurt, something like that.
We used 1 and 2.
Yeah, but he but
3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
1-to-3 ratio. Get out of here.
I'm not putting him in there. Not at all.
No, we know Orlando Steinhauer might though.
He might. Yeah, because he doesn't want to look bad for making that trade in the first place. But would you really risk your season, your team season? I know they've made the playoffs, but do you really want to risk it? You could have a chance to host the East Semi, right?
Yeah.
So
I can't believe he shouldn't be any which way. Your turn.
Saskatchewan. A win, and they're pretty much in. Right? They pretty much kill Edmonton, Calgary's chances. Can they do this on a night where they will be celebrating George Reed? They'll have the 2013 Grey Cup team in attendance. So it's a big night of celebration for them. Can they get it done? We'll see, but I feel like they're in a nosedive and they can't get out. But I still think they make the playoffs just because Calgary and Edmonton won't be able to get it done. But that is quite the nosedive for Saskatchewan, and I don't see them getting it done this week.
Craig Dickinson, man, that guy is just not a leader. I'm not getting it.
The only reason he's still around this year was because of that cap, right? That was the only reason. So
him and O'Day.
Yeah, exactly. Which sucks because it makes the league less competitive with this cap. I get the idea of it, but it holds back teams so much when they want to make moves.
Less competitive, yet at the same time it's week 18 and everyone is still alive. Let's go with Ottawa. Speaking of
Uh,
still alive, will
uh,
Monday's game have playoff implications? Yes, they are playing on Thanksgiving Monday, quite possibly, because I don't see Saskatchewan winning in Hamilton or against Hamilton.
yeah.
And Ottawa. So I'll just leave it at that.
Even if they still got a chance, I don't think they really have a chance. Ottawa.
Oh, like a dead dog almost.
Calgary bye week this week. 3 games left. Saskatchewan, BC, Winnipeg. That's a tough haul, man. I mean, maybe you have the
Yeah.
Saskatchewan game. BC, Winnipeg's not resting anybody because they're probably going right down to the wire anyways. Can Dave Dickinson perform a miracle and get them a postseason berth? I'm going to lean on the no side, and I think by default, Saskatchewan's going to end up making it.
The Dickinsons. Check out our last episode when we left messages for the Dickinson brothers. We got some good reactions online for that. Okay. So
Yeah,
definitely check out that segment, leaving messages for the Dickinsons. Montreal, we're finally getting that Labor Day rematch, which is happening on Thanksgiving. They play back-to-back now. Yeah, I just, it's not really a question. It's just I don't understand these schedule makers leaving these meaty matchups for later on in the year when these guys should have been fighting at the Rideau. Whatever, I'm done. That's it.
Well, this is an annual game now here for them on Thanksgiving, or at least 2 years in a row
Yeah,
now, anyways.
because they don't want to do it on Labor Day.
Yeah, so I guess maybe they'll start their own tradition and then continue to play on Monday night or Mondays. Sorry.
Why? So BC can play Montreal every Labor Day with that heated rivalry? Give me a break.
Was it the Stiegel game against BC with the 4 touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day, or was it just on that weekend?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too, but I mean, it was definitely Thanksgiving when Stiegel went off against BC. So hopefully another Bomber receiver can do that this weekend.
Please do that.
Edmonton, loss and a Saskatchewan win eliminates them from contention. So can they keep the pressure on Saskatchewan with a win on Friday night? We'll tell you more in our predictions right away. I'd love to see them be able to do that and put some pressure and make Saskatchewan sweat a little bit. So I'll let you know what I think about that in our predictions, though.
Okay, that's a good tease, but we're not doing predictions quite yet.
Sorry. Yeah.
Let's talk about the heat happening on CFL trade deadline day. No action again. Who should have made a move on trade deadline day? Should the Bombers have made a move? Would you like to see them make a move? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, if they could have done something in their D line, we saw when they were winning, right, with Richardson, Kongbo, they had depth. They had guys that they could rotate in and out. And right now, Celestin Haba and Anthony Bennett haven't quite reached that level to fill in for some of these guys, right? Especially in the middle, they don't really have anybody else there. So if they were going to do anything, I wouldn't mind them maybe grabbing some depth there or another guy there. But with every team still in contention for the playoffs, it made it
Ain't
hard,
no one
right?
helping the Bombers.
No.
Ain't nobody helping the Bombers. And that's why nobody made a move on trade deadline. It's not like in hockey where half the teams are pretty much out already and they're willing to get rid of pieces so they can either restart or retool. In the CFL, if you're still alive, it'd be stupid to trade anyone, especially a backup quarterback to someone like. So
but
like
it would have been it would have been so good for one of these teams, like especially Ottawa. Chances are they're not making it, right? So if you could have made a move that somehow netted you a first, I mean, that would have been a great move to make. But like you say, they still got a chance. And if you start trading guys away, fans are going to be like, hey, why are you trading this guy away when we still have a chance? So
first round draft picks in the CFL aren't worth what they are in other leagues, though.
No, but at least depending on what you're trading away, I mean, if it's a guy you're losing at the end of the season anyways, or next season kind of thing, you got to take a look at that deal and see if you can make one.
Yeah, well, then the team's just going to wait you out, though. That's tough. That's a tough one. That CFL trade deadline, people are always so disappointed that nothing happens. It's a league. It's a 9-team league. Like, get used to it. Nothing ever happens on trade deadline day.
I fully expect nothing to happen on trade deadline day. I'd like to see trades, but I know full well they're not happening.
I have no idea why the media is continuously surprised and disappointed. Give it up. Let's move into quick and dirty predictions. Alex, is that right?
Yep.
Look at this rundown. That's right. Quick and dirty predictions. Elks Argos. I got the Argos to win at home with Chad Kelly. Can't see the Elks offense giving the Argos defense much trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Kelly starts. Argos 7-0 at home. It's also the 150th anniversary of the Argos at that game. So even though Edmonton's played well lately, I still see the Argos taking this. I mean, unless they pull Kelly early, but what we saw from Dukes last week, I think he can lead this team as well.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Bombers Lions. Who do you got?
This is probably the third of probably 4 matches this season. I am unfortunately, just because it's in BC, I am taking BC in this one.
Okay. I'm going to take the Bombers because I think Buck Pierce will call a good game, and I think they will use that running game, and I think they will use a heavy set, and they will whoop their ass because they always show up for big games against big teams, except for the Grey Cup against Toronto. Son of a
They
gun.
do, but they haven't been there lately. I hope they can. Obviously, BC has been not been a great place for them to play either most of the time. So
Forever.
yeah.
Ticats, Rough Riders, who do you got?
I'm going to take Hamilton in this one. Just a better team of the two, and playing some good football. Now they have some good options at QB. There, if Schild starts and he doesn't play well, they got Powell, kind of thing. So the
Yeah.
Saskatchewan D has been terrible.
Yeah, I'll take the Ticats as well. The Tiger Cats as well. The Riders don't look like they believe in themselves. Ugh. Red Blacks, Alouettes. I'm going to take Montreal. Ottawa is just not good, and they will find a way to lose.
Yeah, totally agree on that. It looks like Montreal's kind of found a formula here with running the ball. They put a lot into their defense as well, and it's not all on Fajardo to win. So if they can continue that, they may win the East final, and that's about it. But but I'm taking Montreal in this one.
CFL fans, put your predictions in the comment section below. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrushed helmet or goalie mask, a local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431. Tell them Ray and Benny sent you. If Ehlers can't stay healthy, which he usually can't, what does that mean for the Jets' playoff chances? They obviously won't be as dangerous offensively, but they'll be a whole lot better defensively, I think, especially if they have Iafalo on the second line. He could keep up with some of the league's best on that second line. They'll have to change their game. Iafalo's played first line minutes, and he held his own with Kemp and Kopitar on the Kings. He's like on pace for like 30 goals in the first 25 games. And then he slowed down, obviously, because he's not a full-time first liner, but I think they'll be fine. They won't be as offensively dynamic, but I think defensively they'll be better, and they'll be better, which might play into Bonus's style a little better.
Yeah, we talked about them maybe not scoring as much this year anyways, and playing more of a defensive game and maybe trying to win those 2-1 scores. I think it definitely takes a hit without Ehlers. It also hurts the power play number 2, because I think Iafalo was already on the first one anyways. So it drops that power play 2 quite a bit with only Perfetti and Niederreiter, unless you throw Lowry on there, I guess. But then it also makes the bottom 6 weaker as well. Maybe not weaker, but offensively weaker. I mean, Gustafsson probably draws in if Ehlers is out. So they're going to need a lot from that bottom 6 to make up for any spot scoring that they're losing out of Ehlers. Yeah, it's not good. I'm hoping. I expected a lot at Ehlers this year. I mean, a lot of people have as well, and they're hoping finally this is breakout year. He said today it's not just neck spasms, so that doesn't sound good. When after 2 weeks he finally comes out and admit that. So hopefully he's good to go by opening night. We saw tonight without him and this kind of lineup that the Jets didn't even score a goal tonight, and didn't generate a whole lot of offense either. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come.
No, you got to give those guys a little bit of time to play with each other if this guy's going to be out long term. Like, how many games did he play last year?
Less than 40, right?
And they made the playoffs, didn't they?
They did, but you still had Wheeler at that point, who was still, chipping in enough points on that power play unit.
They got Velarde. He'll do fine.
Yeah, it depends on how long it takes these guys to kind of get acquainted or up to speed with everything, Jets wise, especially on that power play. I mean, it was the same power play for the last few years, right? So you had guys kind of knowing where guys would be and all that stuff. So
Lowry's pretty good on the power play when he plants his ass in front of that net. He's a factor, So
45 games last year. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a big hit on their playoff chances, to be honest with you, especially with the Central being the condition that it is.
Yeah, it depends. If they play bonus hockey like Dallas did a couple years ago, where it's minimal scoring and kind of boring hockey, they could probably get there. And if Ehlers kind of stands on his head, but I'd much rather have Ehlers in this lineup.
I could care less about boring. I'll watch those old New Jersey Devils games without a problem,
Oh,
man. Playing that
jeez.
trap with championships, for sure I would. I'd
When
sit in
you-
that
yeah,
Canada
I
Life
mean,
Center and I'll sit there and drink my beers and not care if they're winning. I'm going to
if
tell you.
they are winning for sure. Those
Yep,
Jersey games, though, once it got to 1-0, you might as well turn it off. Game was over.
for sure. And they got Brodeur just chilling. Hey,
Yeah.
Nola. Tough night
Ah,
for him. Left the game with a lower body injury status, unsure. He was really looking like he was set to take a 6 or whatever, a defensive spot in this top. He was going to be on that 6-man defensive unit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, what do the Jets end up doing with Schmidt, Stanley, Chisholm?
Yeah, hopefully Hanel is okay. It did not look good. So hopefully it's not a big long-term thing. Schmidt's been injured. So is he going on the IR once the season starts? If that's the case, then you got a spot for Hanel, and then you only have to choose one guy out of Stanley, Chisholm, and
Capobianco.
Capobianco. Jeez. So
I
that
got
makes it
your
a little
back.
bit easier there. Now with Hanela possibly hurt, I think you're probably keeping all those guys up there, and it
Yep.
kind of delays your spot for a bit. It's interesting to me, like if Schmidt wasn't hurt, would Hanela be getting his chance? Like obviously he's better than the other three, but would he have knocked Schmidt down to be able to get this opportunity? Chances are slim on that, but it's good to see that he finally played well enough over a period of games and consistency to make this lineup. Unfortunate though that he got hurt.
Yeah, like if I was in charge, Capobianco would be exposed. I don't
Yeah.
really know what he does on the team. Like, I'm sure he's a great hockey player, don't get me wrong, but I don't see his role on this team. And I would sit Schmidt. I could care less about that $6 million contract. I would sit him upstairs and play Heinola, who had a much better preseason. And he developed immensely since the last 3 years that he tried out, or not tried out. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
the best word.
Again,
Training camp and all that. Pretty much a tryout. So yeah, I'd sit Schmidt. Capobianco's gone. And that's what I do.
but if Hanel is not hurt and he's fine, knock on wood or whatever. But and Schmidt's one of the ones in the press box, and you also have to make a choice on Stanley or Chisholm as well, who you end up sending down, or you try to send Schmidt down and hope maybe someone claims him. Chances are not, because he's still got another year on that contract after this one as well. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, and then if you still have a choice to make there too at the forward group, unless Ehlers ends up starting the season on the IR as well between Gustafson and Ford. Gustafson though has to clear waivers to be able to get down there, so that might send Ford down. In that sense there. So
If it's
it'll be
between
interesting.
Stanley and Chisholm, I'm letting Chisholm go. I'm going to take it one more year of hoping this guy's a freak or what. I don't know what Chevalier was hoping for. Was he hoping for Tyler Myers 2.0 on this one? If he becomes that, I'll give him one more year.
He was open for Zdeno Chara, but he probably ended up getting worse
No.
than Tyler Myers, actually.
There is no way he jumped up hoping he was Zdeno Chara.
Why else would you jump up at that point for a guy that no one was going to take anyways?
I absolutely think he was hoping this guy would be Tyler Myers. He let that guy go for $6 million. I believe he was really hoping this guy would turn into him. Tall, lanky
Tyler
guy.
Myers wasn't that great either.
Tyler Myers was good for what he was. He was good for what he was at the price that we had him during the run, without a doubt.
I think
he's not worth the contract that he has now. I'll agree with that. But for what we had for him and how he played for Winnipeg, without a doubt. And to have some guy play like that on a rookie contract, for sure that's what Chevalier was hoping. There's no way he was hoping to be Zdeno Chara. Give me a break.
When you're going when you're grabbing someone in the first round and you're trading up for him, you got to hope he's more than Tyler Myers at that point. He dropped
Tyler Myers on a rookie contract. Yeah. Tyler Myers on a rookie contract. You telling me you wouldn't want a Tyler Myers guy on a rookie contract on this Jets unit right now?
Well, yeah, I'd like it right now, but I would expect more if we're drafting or trading up for a guy in the first round than Tyler Myers.
I've seen a lot of NHL drafts, and I'm always iffy about those picks, anyways.
Yeah, well, either way, it didn't turn out. I don't know. I'd rather see almost what Chisholm can do at this point and see if he can do better than Stanley in the NHL.
Yeah, I guess it's almost
still young too, right? And they drafted him too a little bit later. He's been in the organization a long time, so
true. 6.5 dozen, eh?
Yeah.
Let's move on to some NFL talk. Let's talk about your team. Jets fans, also put your comments below on what you thought about what we just talked about. NFL talk. Trey Lance, will his knowledge of the 49ers affect the outcome of the game? You go first.
Sorry, before we go, I just saw it here. Rick Bowness is saying Billy Hanel's injury will not be a short-term thing. So kind of makes that all moot there. So it
We're
will not be.
screwed.
Yeah. So yeah. So that sucks. Anyways, Cowboys, Niners, Trey Lance. No. I don't think it'll do a lot to help Dallas out in this game. I mean, Trey Lance seemed to have a hard time grasping this offense and processing it quickly enough to stay on the team. And Shanahan's smart enough; he could use Trey Lance against Dallas, and have them give all this information and then flip the script on them. Also, San Francisco has a DB from Dallas who was on Dallas for 7 years, Anthony Bennett. So if they really wanted to get information, they could get a lot more information out of him than Trey Lance. So I don't see Trey Lance being a factor in the knowledge department here.
Trey Lance was on their training camp. Trey Lance was on their team the past couple of years to see Brock Purdy develop. He knows what Brock Purdy's tendencies are. He knows what Shanahan's tendencies are. I don't think he's an idiot.
I didn't say he was an idiot.
Hold on, I'm not done.
He's going to help.
I'm not done yet.
Well, I'm just telling you. I don't want people thinking I called him an idiot.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's an idiot. So he definitely grasps some of that offense, and he can use some of that with the looks and the tendencies for that information for the defense with a very good Dallas defense. And I think he can definitely do some damage. Will he be the difference maker in the game? Probably not. But if you have someone in the quarterback room who can tell the defense to look for these formations, Shanahan has a week to turn this over. And they also have lots of tape on Purdy and the Shanahan offense. So he can't really make a huge change to the offense with a young quarterback like that. He's not going to input like half a playbook. So I think it is a factor that Trey Lance was in that room just very recently. And he knows that QB very well coming out of college.
Yeah, it won't be enough. Dan Quinn's a smart defensive coordinator anyways. Probably half the stuff that Lance is telling him he would already see on tape. I'm not saying Shanahan's got to go and change the whole offense, but he can change the little intricacies of this offense to throw them off in one formation looking like this, or a call or anything like that looking like this to Lance. But hey, they switched it to this now in this game. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good chess matchup, but I don't know if Trey Lance will do enough, but it'll be a good game. And it's not like the Niner offense has been scoring like crazy on Dallas. Anyways, the playoffs was 19-12 last year. So Quinn's already done a pretty good job stopping that offense for the most part.
So maybe a little help might be even better.
Yeah, it's all dependent really on Dak and not throwing interceptions.
That's something else. That's a different conversation. We should have added that question. You got to leave a short message with Jamal Adams. What are you telling him? I'm going to tell that guy to just chill, man. The doctor is doing their job. They're thinking of your long-term health. And at the same time, bro, I get it. You've been off the field for more than a year and you want to stay on. So I understand where you're coming from, but just chill.
Yeah, I pretty much got the same message here. You can spell it out the Rogers way in the RELAX. Just relax, dude. Take it easy. Guy's doing his job. But yeah, it's tough because he was off for 9 months, right? Or longer.
13.
So yeah, so that's a long time. You finally get into the game. It's Monday night. You're amped, ready to go. But these guys got to realize these guys are looking out for their long-term future here.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to. He put himself back in that game anyways, if he could, right? So
with the knowledge that they have and all that, of course they're looking for the best. This is beyond your football career, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We talk about Marshawn Lynch telling these young players to take care of their mentals. This is what he's talking about, Yeah. But I get it, man. The guy's a passionate player. They all want to be out there no matter what, Which sub 500 team has the best shot at making the playoffs and why?
I don't really think any of them do. If I had to pick one, I would probably go with the Bengals just because they have the better team, good quarterback, good receiver than a lot of these teams that are currently 1-3 or 0-4. The only thing is they are in a tough division and a tough conference. So I don't think any of them will make it. Best chance would be Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati also has a really good chance. They have a championship-worthy roster, and their QB is finally off the injured report. Like, that calf has been messing with that dude. Like, a calf for a quarterback, you can't throw the ball as far as you can if you can't plant your foot. So he's off that injury. I think they can turn it around. And I also think Minnesota might be able to turn it around. They're other than Detroit, they're in a kind of iffy division. The NFC is kind of also up in the air other than your winners of the division, right? So I think Minnesota also has a good chance of possibly making the playoffs at 1-3.
They got a tough few weeks coming up here with Kansas City this weekend. and then the Niners the weekend after that, or a couple weekends after that. So
Yeah.
that could put them in a bigger hole. But yeah, their second half of their schedule actually doesn't look too bad.
Especially with Chicago wins tonight.
Yeah.
Yay. Let's talk about Chicago. DJ Moore. If you had him on your fantasy football team, would you trade him? I say no. No, he's the best and only weapon that Fields has. He's been feeding him all year. They'll always be from behind, except for tonight, apparently, and they'll always be throwing the ball. So I'm going to say, why trade him? That's crazy.
Yeah, chances are before tonight, if someone would have offered me something good for him, I probably would have traded him. But after tonight, he just put up 230 yards, a couple touchdowns or 3 touchdowns tonight. So now
didn't he put up 160 last week?
Yeah, he's been up there for the most part. But where did I go? Here, I lost him. Yeah, he's put up some decent stats. A little bit slow in the first couple games of the season altogether. But he's been over 100. He's only been over 103 out of the 7 games. No, those are exhibition games. Yeah. Actually, he's been over 100 3 out of 4 games. So, or pretty 3 out of 5 games. So, good start for the season. But yeah, if someone would have offered me something good, I probably would have traded him, before tonight. But hey,
really, even after last week's game?
Yeah, if I would have got a decent offer for him, for sure. Like I wouldn't have traded him for a bag of chips or anything like that. But
yeah.
But now I would have been kicking myself after this game tonight.
Imagine, holy frig. Bernard, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Thanks to Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Go check them out, order something from them, and have a good week. And go Bombers, go!
Go Bombers. I used your government name. Yeah. And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime, in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Who's currently leading your NFL MVP race?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, get the frig out of here.
Dude, the guy scored 4 touchdowns last game. Probably could have had 5. He leads the league in rushing, man. So far, he's been big to that team. Hey, man, you asked for me who I thought. I'm giving it to him. Who you giving it to?
Oh, Jalen Hurts, for sure.
See, but even Hurts hasn't been great this year so far compared to what he did last year.
Last year, it doesn't matter. He's 4-0, and he's the reason why this team is undefeated.
That team altogether, they barely beat Washington, a team that Chicago just shit kicked right now. So
any given Sunday, though, like we can't play this tit for tat. This team beat this team. No. I think Jalen Hurts is just a damn good quarterback, and he's undefeated, bro.
Yeah, so is Brock Purdy. Would you give it to Brock Purdy then?
He'd be Purdy's actually been
consideration. Yeah,
why wouldn't I consider it? For sure.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.